Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial on how to do the second half of Frog Forest. This is not the fastest strats for everything that you could possibly do, but it's faster than the tutorial and at least gives some context for like the intermediate strats. So I'm starting here right when I take the mushroom and then doing the big slope. I'm just going to go through and execute the second half, and then we'll go through and break down each step. Okay. So, you probably saw some things that are different from the tutorial. So we're just going to go through each one. Starting with the beginning here, you've probably learned by this point, but you want to wait until, like, you can't mash B here to get the ground excel through the gong. You want to wait until you see Big basically put his hands up. Once he puts his hands up like this, you're able to do the belly flop, but before then you don't want to do it. So wait, hands up, okay, and then you just go through, and if you did it correctly, you will just instantly get launched through. So for this next part, I'm pause rolling on the speed pads. If you've not learned yet, when you roll right before a speed pad, it gives you more speed. It's a set speed, but a lot of times it's faster than just the normal running through it. So in this situation here, right when I land, I'm going to do a pause roll to gain that extra speed. So I'm rolling, pausing. And so what is a pause roll? The reason we pause is because we need to be able to let go of B without activating hammer. Okay, so the way we do that, and this also applies to slopes, which we're about to see after this, is we roll, then we pause, and then we let go of B in the pause menu. That way, when we return, when we press pause again to unpause the game, we will not be pulling the hammer. So letting go of B. So I'm rolling again. I paused, I'm letting go of B. And so you do that 3 times within the slope to keep the speed as best as possible. The next thing that we want to do is skip this loop. So I'm just going to go over the loop to show you kind of what it normally looks like. So normally you have this loop, and then you can continue going on, right? But we can save time skipping that loop. So I didn't pause roll. I was thinking. So remember, you want to pause roll here. 1, 2, 3. So you want to align yourself kind of with the left side here. I kind of like to use like these arrows just as kind of a cue. Just kind of be on the left side. It's not super important. You don't want to be too close because then you can clip this and lose all your speed. You don't want to be too far in the middle because then you don't have enough time to get the distance you need for the loop. The visual cue, though, is this little hook right here. You basically want to jump right as you're passing by that. And if you do that correctly, you'll be able to get to the other side. So, like this, boom. And I like the homing attack to preserve some speed as I'm running through. So once you do that, you're good to keep going. You basically just skip the loop and saved like a little bit of time. And so for here, I'm going to, again, pause roll as I run over this speed pad. So the one with this one is it always is going to send you at this weird diagonal. So you kind of have to hold kind of a little sharper left like this, just so you make sure you don't run in and lose speed hitting into the wall there. And the next speed pad, we're not going to pause roll, because for basically we're going over this loop that will take us upside down. And sometimes when you do the sometimes when you do the pause roll on that, it'll send you off and kill you. So this one we've just collectively decide do not go for. So not going for it here, but the next one, you can do it right here. So you don't do the one in the middle either, but right here you can do this one. So boom, and you can do it here as well. And at this point, the next thing is this big slope. So if you recall from at the beginning of this video when I showed what you want to do, basically we are trying to evade the big spring that's in the middle part here and go up this big loop and use a glitched belly flop, or it's basically a belly flop with glitched gravity as big to skip over the section without having to take the speed ring. I'm going to save state here because this one I might mess up a few times. So basically I'm holding forward, right? I've just paused roll. I'm letting go of B right now. This is a pretty precise spot you need to go to make sure you don't hit the spring or anything. Some people go on the left side here. I like to do the right side. And I'll explain why in a bit here. So anyways, I'm holding forward, trying to evade everything, and I successfully passed by the speed thing. I'm going to come off here just to show you. So again, we're trying to make sure we get through this spot here, okay? But we don't want to bump into this because that slows us down, and obviously we don't want to hit this because then we can't do the skip over this loop here, okay? So let me try it again. So you see how like sometimes you can bump into the wall, like boom, and then it can really mess up where you're going. So we try our best to be careful, okay? A little tap is okay, but generally you want to avoid it if possible. So once we do here, if we just go straight up and try and belly flop, it can be a little bit more difficult to do. You can get it to work, but you might be low or other things can happen. So one hidden tech about the game is if you go diagonal, it actually is a lot easier and you can go higher when you're going up an upward slope. So as you just saw, you want to do that, and you want to obviously avoid the speed ring. That's the whole purpose of doing this trick. So do this, boom, come across, and you've successfully done it. So you can kind of take a look at the inputs too. Oh yeah, also you don't want to go left here because it will lift you upward. So you got to be very precise on this angle. So you come across, you deploy umbrella here to get actionable. You want to land on the spring, and I like to press R here to turn the camera because the next thing we're going to be looking at is to the left here. So boom. Okay, we're in the air. Yeah, you want to switch to big very late. That's a good point, Joey. So when you're coming here, you don't want to switch to big too early. It can make it difficult. There it worked, but you generally want to stay aimy to just give yourself some leeway and then switch late like that. Okay, so the next thing is we are gonna belly flop, hammer extend this way. Okay, we're trying to land on this platform. We're skipping this section. So one, you're skipping a checkpoint, so this is more dangerous, just so you know. But we're skipping having to go this way and then this way. We're basically just going directly over here. I guess I should explain this one piece. So we're doing this again. So I'll save state here. Okay, so as we land on this, right, usually you can just land into the speed pad if you want to. I'm a little bit short here, but usually, or this, I should say the spring. You can land on the spring. So when you land on this, I like to deploy umbrella here. It makes you actionable very quickly. So you can mash A and be ready right away, right? Versus like trying to mash B or something might mess you up, okay? So press A. Okay, and so now you can, if you did it correctly, like I'd said, you had pressed R to adjust your camera, so you're already looking this way to make it easier for yourself. Now at this point, we're gonna belly flop and press, so we're gonna ground excel, right? We're gonna belly flop, switch to Amy, and you wanna deploy hammer right as you're coming out. So that means you need to be letting go of B right as you get off the ledge. Not pressing B, you want to be letting go of B. That's a big distinction that people mistake a lot of times. The way you deploy hammer is not pressing B, it's letting go of B. So you want to be letting go of B right as you cross this area. And if you did it correctly, you'll get a hammer extended jump. So, like this. And you can see already how close I am. You want to jump out. You want to basically hold A out of that hammer extend. And then you can just homing attack the platform here. However, because there's these robots, you need to be careful. If you homing attack and you don't cancel the homing attack, you'll go right in the robot, and sometimes you can fall right off the area. So you need to be careful when you're doing this to make sure you're not going to hit anything. There I was fine because I was far enough away. But your mileage is going to vary. These guys are in different spots. So the way you get around that is you press B while you're homing attacking, and that will cancel the homing attack. So, boom, and you see I press B and it instantly pulled him away. That's what you want. Just make a good habit of being aware of that. So once you've landed here, the next thing we want to do is hit this spring as flight. That way we can go up to this next section already in flight. So I'm going to save state here. Now this part I would say is more optional. This is like attack to save just a small amount of time. You've probably already done Frog Forest at this point enough times that you know you can do it normally, right? You can just jump over here, do this, and then come here and be on your merry way, right? Or maybe you still do the strat where you come over here, right? And you do double rocket excel, hammer extend. But we're not doing that. We're doing things that are faster here, okay? So what you want to do is you're going to come over to this gong. You want to come on the back side here. You don't want to be on the front side. You want to be on the back side. And what we're going to do is belly flop as big and switch to cream late as we're belly flopping. So, if you do it wrong, you'll just get it as big. But if you do it right, you can be as cream here out of the gong, which is very important. Yeah, you got to belly flop very low. It's very important. I like the claw, so I'm actually... it's kind of awkward to show. So I'm actually using claw here. I have my thumb on B and my right finger on the X button, and I'm basically pressing them almost simultaneously. That works for me. You can find some people do overhand, but you need to do that. And again, you want to belly flop low. If you belly flop high, it's not going to work. See how that didn't work? But if you go low enough, it's more likely to work. And then if you did it well enough too, you will land here without having to activate flight as cream. So in this case I did, but you might also have to activate flight. That's okay. It's not, you're losing a little bit of time, but not an insane amount of time. So anyways, once you have done that, you are up here, okay? And we're gonna do spend strat, not the self-glaze. So spend strat, again, is the same property that we did earlier, where you are gonna belly flop and hammer extend over to the vine. So basically it looks like this. And then you can land and keep moving. Okay, so once again, we are just belly flopping. We want to switch to Amy, right? We're doing ground excel. And then we have to let go of B right as we're going over. I like to give myself a little bit of room here. So you can do it like here, but you're making it harder for yourself. I like to give myself a little bit of room and do it about here. If you really want, you could do a weird diagonal one. But again, with the setup of everything else, it might just be easier to learn how to do this. So again, boom, boom. And then you hold out A here. If you're short, you can press B. You've probably learned this in the tutorial. You can press B and then while still holding A and give yourself even more distance. But obviously you're losing time doing that. And so again there, if you're too close, it can be more difficult. So like this, extend, and keep moving. Okay. So one more time here. I guess it's kind of weird because normally I would have activated flight. But again, I like being back here. So boom, boom, and jump this gap. Make sure you land on that. You're just gonna have to practice it enough times to really understand like where the collision is on the vine. It's a little bit tricky. So just practice that and you'll get it down. And then we switch here and then keep moving. Let me do this just without pausing. So yeah, I like to aim basically like, you see where the seam is? Basically just slightly left of the seam. And that kind of gives you a good spot. And then just do the rest of this as you normally would. You can get a catch-up flight here. I'm not very good at it though, so I'm not going to try and explain that one. And if you did all that correctly, congrats, you just improved your Frog Forest second half. Hope you enjoyed.